And a little bit of background, I've been a lifeguard for the YMCA at Wolf Creek in Holland for about 5 years now. I've been through Splash for about 4 years. This upcoming summer will be my 5th year, but a little bit of background on this is 2 years ago when I was 17 and I was just lifeguarding on a Saturday like every other day, before regulations changed, before the big drowning that we had that year, a woman did pass away in the West Toledo YMCA, so we had a few things that the lifeguards and swim instructors had to update on, and we had to reevaluate a lot of our safety situations. So I was lifeguarding, and a little girl at the shallow end was with her parent. She was underwater, and usually if you have a patron underwater for more than 7 seconds, you're supposed to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. If they don't make it up in that time, you have to go in. Well, I counted to about 8 before I went in, and she wasn't breathing. I had to actually give her CPR, and a little 7-year-old girl, she was about this big, and at that moment, you can't really emotionalize with it. You have to pretty much just act, and so I'm just giving her CPR, and she pukes up water. She's okay, rush into the ER, but afterwards, I remember just curling up in a ball that night and just bawling my eyes out. And that could have been absolutely prevented if she knew how to swim and she knew the safety regulations that Splash Week actually gives out to kids. Now, what exactly Splash Week is a week that we give underprivileged kids safety tips who can't afford swim lessons and learn how to swim. Now, 10 unintentional drownings that lead to death occur each day. So each day in our YMCAs, we have 10 unintentional deaths. By unintentional deaths, we mean like a lap swimmer swallows too much water and gets a cramp, or it goes under, or something like that. 1 out of every 5 drownings, the victim is a child under the age of 14. So again, like that 7-year-old girl, they're just small children. Again, a little bit about my background. I've been in the Y for a really long time, so I know a lot about it. Lifeguards have to go through intensive training, emotionally and physically. We have to be able to be fit to swim with a 180-pound man from one end of the pool to another. We have to be able to do every stroke that there is, and we have to be able to also know all the safety regulations. Like, you have to know how deep in the chest that you're going to go. You have to know that you're going to break your ribs. You're going to hear cracking and splintering and everything that's really makes you want to cringe, but you have to keep doing it, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to save their lives. You have to keep that heart going. You have to keep their lungs breathing. And it's a very intense training that you have to do, especially when you put it in real life perspective. You're like, thank God I know how to do that, because I just saved someone's life. A little video that I want to show you guys is how amazing swimming instructions can actually be. How an infant child is able to be taught how to swim and save their own lives on their back due to intensive training that kids can have. As you kind of get the point that for basic swim instructing perspectives, it doesn't matter what age you are at, you're always able to learn how to save yourself as this child. Just learn how to just pretty much go ahead and redirect themselves so they're able to go on their backs, and wait for an adult to find them and be able to save them. The problem is that more than 3,000 deaths happen in the U.S. per year due to unintentional deaths, according to the CDC. Along with more people admit that they don't know how to swim, and that's a big problem in the 21st century. Like, we have pool access everywhere. A lot of people have pools in their backyard, and YMCAs everywhere, and country clubs, and it's a big problem that a lot of people don't know how to swim. As research has also shown that particular participants in swim lessons can reduce the risk of drowning. The current solution that we do have is that children are not being exposed to, or the current problem that we have for this is children are not exposed to water enough. A lot of kids that we have that come in, we have little as 6 months old all the way up to adults, 40 and plus. We have a 98-year-old woman that swims laps, and she gives me a heart attack every time she gets in. But we have 5-year-olds that scream bloody murder if you have them do a bob, which is they blow bubbles in the water. And so if they have the water anywhere near them, they freak out. And it's a big problem because you want to get these kids really inspired to be in the water, really comfortable, and be able to swim on their own and feel confident that, yes, I can do this. The big problem is that not a lot of families have a lot of money due to the economy that's going down, and I noticed that a lot of our prices have gone up for our swim classes, so it's less and less children that we do have in our swim lessons. Now, the new solution that we have is every year between April and July, we have 1 week where we are able to give underprivileged kids a week's worth of swim lessons completely free. At the end, we discuss responsibilities, what the Y stands for, and what they can do to help others, how can they improve their own swimming, and so we really work with them individually on how they can be able to become better swimmers. And this is a great opportunity for kids to get out there, meet new kids, and learn something fun. The advantages of this is that they're grouped off by age, not by skill. For our regular swim lessons, we have anything from polywog to flying fish, ray, pike, which are our little ones, but these ones are all grouped off age. So we have all the 12-year-olds, all the 8-year-olds, all the 6-year-olds, and everything in between together instead of by skill. So we can work with them individually so they don't feel like, oh, I'm next to a 4-year-old and I don't know how to swim. I don't want to ever come back. This sucks. Kids will learn what to do in an emergency, either to rescue or get help. A lot of times kids have noodles, I know everybody probably should know what those are. You whack your friends with them or your brother with them, try to drown each other. But actually, if you hold them in the middle and toss them out, kids are able to toss them out and say, grab on as loudly as they can. And we pretend that we're drowning and we grab it and we're like, oh, thank you for rescuing me. So we teach them little skills. Or who do you call if not a lifeguard is in the pool and someone's drowning? They're like, 911. So we go that over with them, and they learn a lot of fun stuff. Also, we have a lot of donations and funds of parents who participate in, or even our volunteers donate like $10 or whatever, and all of that goes towards the families that are underprivileged and their kids can't go into some class, so that way they'll be able to participate in our next session and it'll be completely paid off for them or minimalized payment from these donations. Further conclusion, for families that are not able to pay for swim lessons, this program lowers the payment for them. Again, it's able to encourage them to have them keep going, so there's no excuse for them not to be in our program for these kids to be able to swim and save other lives along with their own lives. Why should you help experience? For being with the Y for such a long time, being there for 4 years, you see these kids grow. I remember this little girl, Brooklyn. She was just 5 years old when I started teaching her, and she was just freaked out by the water, cried every time I took her out. She just hated it, and now she's a competitive swimmer. She's only like 8 years old. She's able to go laps up and down, and it's incredible to see how these kids can grow and how they look up to you. And then you're like, wow, you know how to swim. You seem like a great person to look up to. I'm going to try and be like you. I'm going to try and be able to swim like you. And it's a great opportunity for them to get inspired and have a really good role model in their lives, to be able to see someone who has experience and wants to help them, so it encourages them to help others. And that is my presentation for the